Hey vinyl community, you're joining me on this cold Monday evening in southwest England for some more vinyl nerdery. Yes, the radiators in my flat are not great. I recently moved into somewhere new. It's a really nice place actually, much nicer than I'm used to, but the radiators are electric and they're not very good. And so yeah, as you can see, I'm wearing my scarf and about 4 layers at the moment and a hat. So yeah, it's a bit cold at the minute here in England. But yeah, roll on the summer. But yeah, anyway, vinyl. Um, I'm listening to quite a mix as usual. So I thought I'd just come and show you a few. What I've been listening to lately, what I've listened to today, and yeah, hopefully you might find something interesting. So yeah, first one, I listened to this one earlier. Travel Agency. Now, first of all, look at that cover. Is that not beautiful? How striking is that? I mean, the first time I saw that cover, I think it was Derek, the famous Derek that showed this, and I was like, wow, what is that? And yeah, look at it. I mean, wow. This is late 60s, I think it's 68, and just a gorgeous, really fantastic cover design. This is psychedelic rock, as you might be able to tell from the design. One of my favourite album covers, as I said, and one of my favourite 60s psychedelic rock albums, really. It's just great. I mean, the melodies on this, the guy's voice, the music, the arrangements, everything about this album is perfect. It's so well done. I was thinking earlier that you get people that like their 60s music, like their kind of mainstream stuff like Janis Joplin and Jimi Hendrix and obvious people, basically fantastic genius people, but at the same time, as you well know, there was a lot of amazing obscure music that was made that's kind of been lost in time, but was nevertheless genius and incredible, and people are missing out, and I would include this album in that. This album is so good. I mean, it starts off kind of ominous, like this kind of organ with like weird, dark kind of like voices in the background, and you think, oh, what's going to happen here? Something's about to go down, and then bang, it goes straight into a riff that Kurt Cobain could have used in Nirvana, and this kind of funky beat. It's very Nirvana. If you listen to it, if you check this album out, if you don't know it, and the first thing you'll think is, wow, that does sound quite like Nirvana. But then the rest of it is most definitely not like Nirvana, but that first track, definitely there's a similarity there. And but there's some really beautiful songs on this, like really trippy, beautiful songs, like Seabird, The Lonely Seabird, and So Much Love. Just gorgeous songs. Really lovely. And then you have really kind of interesting psychedelic splices and kind of interesting passages and fuzz guitar, and it's just really, really cool. This is an original promotional copy, as you can see there. I remember I found an original copy a while ago, and it's £40. I didn't want to spend that on one album. I used to when I was younger. I'd go crazy and spend ridiculous amounts of money on albums because I had to have them, and now I'm like, well, I could buy that one album, or I could probably buy like 5 other albums that I'm going to enjoy. And sometimes, like, I had to stop myself the other day from buying original copy of Spyro Gyra St. Radigan's, because it was, for what it was really, really cheap. Still expensive, but cheap compared to what it goes for. But I don't really like the album musically, so I had to kind of stop myself, because there's that collector part of me that's like, I have to have this album, it's rare, I'm never going to find another one, I have to have this album. But really, musically, I don't really like it. So I was like, no, how often will you listen to this album? I had to stop myself, and I've been more discerning lately with my buying, mainly to save money, but also, like I said, I think to myself, really, how much will I listen to this album? So I kind of stopped myself, and I do that now, and kind of, I only buy stuff that I really, really like and I know I'm going to keep nowadays. You might be the same, or you might still be in that initial phase of just buying everything, and maybe you'll get to that one day, but I could almost guarantee that probably one day you will. Maybe you won't, maybe you're rich and you don't mind, but anyway, enough of me rambling. Travel agency, check it out. Next one. Catherine Ribeiro and Alps with Pa from 1972. Lovely, look at that cover. I mean, the first time I saw that cover I was like, wow, that looks cool. Everything from his cool beard to her beautiful face and the cool style to their colourful clothes, the composition of where they're all placed in the forest there, the font on that. It's just a great cover to me. Some people might look at that and not see anything. They might think that's boring or nothing special, but to me, artistically, that's great. Simple, effective, just really cool. You look at that and think that's something, and it is. It most definitely is. 1972, French. This is a really interesting album, and I do mean interesting. She has, I think she was a model first, and then she got into singing, not unlike Nico from the Velvet Underground. And yeah, my phone battery's dying, so hopefully that didn't just cut out then, but anyway. Really interesting album. Musically, these guys were great musically, just really cool. Almost gets you into like a trance, like, I mean, they don't sound like anything like Hawkwind, but that kind of thing, you know, when you listen to Hawkwind and you kind of, it's got that kind of drone where you're kind of, or Noise, where it's that drone where it just goes on forever and ever and ever, and it kind of gets you into like hypnotized trance. This is kind of that kind of vibe, but she's got a really cool voice, and she kind of goes into these like high-pitched, kind of like intense, I don't know how to describe it really. This is one of these albums which is really hard to describe, but you have to kind of listen to it and just, you either get it or you don't. And yeah, I really recommend it. If you like interesting music and have not heard this one, really, you know, give it a look on YouTube, give it a listen, because it's really, really cool. Definitely different, you know. Life can be mundane, but this album is most definitely not. So yeah, check it out. I think there was a bit of a political link with them. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, I believe there's a bit of a backstory to them. But yeah, I've forgotten now because it's been a while since I looked at all that kind of stuff. Anyway, next one I found this one on the weekend actually. This one, Man with Revelation from 1969. This is really cool. I've seen this album cover loads of times. And kind of know it's quite collectible, and I know that the band, they're from Wales, which is not far from here, probably about half an hour train ride from what I am from Wales, probably about an hour from Cardiff, which is the capital, so not far. I see Man Records a lot around here. I believe they went kind of bluesy, harder rock in their, you know, in the 70s, but in the late 60s, this is more psychedelic as per the time. But this is very interesting. Really cool riffs, interesting passages, interesting lyrics. There's a female singer at one point, and the first side kind of ends in her sounding like she's having sex. It's an interesting listen. But yeah, if you like your psychedelic music and don't know this one, check it out. Really cool. I did see another one of their albums, 2 ounces of Black Plastic with a Hole in the Middle, I think it was called, from the same year, which I could have got that same day, but an original copy, but I listened to it on YouTube and I didn't like the first half of it, and so I kind of left it, but maybe I'll go back and get it sometime, because the rest of it was kind of cool. But yeah, like I said earlier, I'm really trying to buy albums that I really, really like, so we'll see. Okay, next one is, if I can get it here, Bobby Calendar with Rainbow. This is a really cool album. I mean, look at that cover to start with. How cool is that? Psychedelic as hell. I mean, in a way, you could say this is like kind of so 60s that it's almost cliche, but at the same time, musically, it's got some really interesting bits in it, and you just can't help but, I can't help but like it, because he's got kind of effeminate voice. I believe he was a gay gentleman. You know, obviously I've got nothing against that in any way. I'm just saying that's how he sounds. Really interesting kind of psychedelic rock guitars. He's got this really kind of relaxing voice. There's like sitar on this, of course, like, you know, late 60s psychedelic. You've got to have some sitar or else, you know, what are you doing? So yeah, but really nice, relaxing album, really interesting album. If you like late 60s psychedelic stuff, then give it a listen. It's not a very expensive album as well, so yeah, if you see it, get it, it's worth it. David Gilmour's first solo album, I listened to this one the other day. This was a lot better than I remember, actually. I've had this for many years, and after listening to Pink Floyd, I was kind of underwhelmed with this a little bit, apart from a couple of tracks. There's No Way Out of Here, and what was the other one? I can't remember what it's called now, but anyway. Actually, overall, this is a really good album. I was pleasantly kind of impressed, actually. It's a lot better than I remember, as I said. You know, David Gilmour, it's well known he's not a great lyricist, but he's obviously an incredible guitar player and a great singer. So he kind of uses other people to do the lyrics, you know, obviously Roger Waters in Pink Floyd and his wife in later years, and I'm not quite sure who did the lyrics for this. I think There's No Way Out of Here as a cover, actually. Is it Unicorn or something like that? But yeah, actually I really enjoyed this. Yeah, if you like your Pink Floyd and have never bothered to listen to this one, check it out, because it's really good. Okay, so I enjoy watching Zeke the Vinyl Geek on here. I think he's a really sort of real, interesting guy with great taste, and he's just himself all the time, and he knows his stuff. And I just, you know, from watching these videos, some people you just click with, and there's something about them you just love watching them. And I find his videos really relaxing, and he's been on a big sort of country kick here and there, and he was showing some country albums, and it made me want to listen to some. So I pulled out some Johnny Cash. You know, I've owned so many Johnny Cash albums over the years, because he must have made like 1 billion compilations of, you know, a lot of the time it's all the same songs. I probably owned about 20 or 30 different compilation albums of Johnny Cash over the years, and I got rid of most of them and then kept this one, because how many do you need? I just kind of bought them for the covers and they were cheap at the time. Talking about collecting mania, you know, you have to have everything when you first start collecting, don't you? But then you kind of get a bit older and think, like, do I really need 20 copies of Johnny Cash greatest hits? I mean, you know, but I kept this one because it's the Sun recordings, and just straight up classic all the way. You know, Hey Porter, Cry, Cry, Cry. You know, great lyrics, really kind of clever lyrics for this for his 50s stuff. You know, I mean, in general, he had some good lyrics, but the 50s stuff, some really sort of like great sense of humour, poignant, clever lyrics a lot of the time. Quite depressing sometimes, you know, because it's, you know, it's got a lot of feeling to it when you really think about it, but at the same time it's magic, you know. So Johnny Cash, I mean, if you don't know Johnny Cash, then you're probably not from Earth. So yeah, anyway. Wotcha McGuinn and Band, 1975. I love Wotcha McGuinn. He was in the Byrds, a great singer-songwriter, and he's released a few solo albums that I really enjoy. This is not my favourite one of his, but I pulled it out because I've been listening to the other ones, and I thought I haven't listened to this one in a while, and really enjoyed it. There's a great a great version of Lover on the Bayou on this. Great guitar on it. Lover of the Bayou, rather. Great guitar, lots of feeling. I just love his voice, really. There's something about it that's got just a real kind of, I don't know, it just grabs me, you know. I really feel it. I really like his voice. You know, Gene Clark as well, I love. But yeah, if you like your Byrds, if you like your country rock, if you like your 70s stuff, check it out, it's really good. And then yesterday I was on a bit of a jazz kick and I listened to this one, Wayne Shorter, Speak No Evil. This is a reissue from the 90s. I got this still sealed. Sounds pretty good. Wayne Shorter, if you don't know, fantastic saxophone player. Who else do we have on here? I believe, on a side note, I believe that was his wife, or she ended up being his wife, I think. But anyway, yeah, Freddie Hubbard, Herbie Hancock, Ron Carter, Elvin Jones. I mean, absolute legends there. So if you like your jazz and somehow don't know this one yet, check it out because this is really, really good. Perfect, really. A classic. Yeah, if you like jazz, you need it. So yeah. Okay, so yeah, that's it for now. I just thought I would make an appearance, pull a few out. I'm going to be having some time off over Christmas, as probably many of you are as well, hopefully. I've almost got a couple of weeks off. I've got like 12 days off, and then I've got to go back to work for 1 day because somebody who I work with forgot to put me down on the leave sheet when I asked them to. So I've got to go in for 1 day, and then I get like another 3 days off after that, and then I'm back again. So, but anyway, I can't complain. I've got 12 days off coming up, so that's great. So anyway, in that time, I'm going to be making some more videos. I'm going to do an Eric Clapton special. I'm going to do a heavy music special, hopefully. I want to do a special